Morning, friends. This is my post right after the one where I'm outside walking out in the sun looking at the animal footprints everywhere, the animal tracks. What do I want to do here? Do I want to roast? Oh, you know what? I want to roast some fresh coffee. That's what I want. I have some roasted here, pre-roasted. I did the other day. But I'm just in the mood. Let's turn this off for a sec. I'm in the mood. I just found a fresh backup pack in the shed of Jamaican Blue Mountain. And I think I found a Kona, but maybe that one got used up. But I've got Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee right here, freshly opened. And now that my trailer has warmed up, I woke up, I felt like in the middle of the night I was a little colder than what I expected to feel. Feel that cold edge on the edge of the blankets everywhere. And so when I got up, I was like, yeah, it's definitely cold. And I realized the combination of the fuel running out last night, propane, and it being minus 28 overnight, definitely gave me that little roasty toasty opposite. And the opposite of roasting, which is why I'm going to roast now. So I went out and changed the propane first in the morning. That's a wonderful way to wake up. Still kind of waking up your brain. But done my dog food, they're all nicely taken care of. Did them a nice broth with half their meal. And we'll have the other half later. Just looking over to make sure I'm in the picture. I have a tendency to do that. So it's for anyone that wants to just hang out with me. Starting my day. The other video was a short one. This one I'll have to put on YouTube. I just haven't had a little hanging out with you guys for so long, and all the stuff going on in the world just grabs my focus and attention. I hope you can hear me over the rattling. I'm pretty sure you can. I remember doing this in the spring and summer outside, playing my music and doing this to the reggae beat, which I could do, but kind of hard to do now. So how is everybody out there? If it's anyone fairly close within a few hours, I'm sure you might have some nice sun, and I'm sure it's a little bit crisp, but probably not as cold as here. We get colder than Ottawa. I have found out. I grew up mostly in Ottawa, and outside of Ottawa, I grew up until grade 5 in Carleton Place. We arrived to Canada on a big ship. I couldn't tell you what it was called. At Quebec City, that's where we would arrive. My mother informed me that at that time, the French in Quebec were not very pro-English. And I think that's gone in waves. according to the political climate and stuff. But yeah, so then we settled around where Bayshore is. Bayshore Shopping Center was a field with cows in it at our backyard. And then we moved to Carleton Place not too long after that. I remember not long after getting to Canada, and I had no clue about Halloween. I knew about Guy Fawkes Day. So to me it was some kind of odd Canadian version of Guy Fawkes Day. And I thought it was really cool because we could just go around and ask for candy and get it for free. It seemed like the perfect holiday, and that made me think Canada was absolutely the best. It's amazing when you're young and everything's a little more in the simplified plane. Something as simple as Halloween can win you over 100%, 120%. Oh my gosh. How times have changed as we get older. I hear a crack. Second one. Oh, that smells good. But yeah, so obviously a lot's happened since I was, I don't know, 5 years old, 10 years old. Because now I'm 60. Seemed like I blinked my eyes and suddenly I'm 60 years old. Okay, I should check this. I want to do a super dark roast. I enjoy it. Depending on the coffee and at which time, but for this, I don't want to go too far. So I think one more little thing there. Put this in the freezer for a moment. Cool it down. Flash freeze. And take the coat off now. Yeah, so the dogs' bellies their tummies are warmed up. Give them half their meal in a bunch of broth from melted snow. And got to go into town, get some things, supplies. I haven't been in town for a while. I don't think I can get my truck out of here because of the ice underneath the snow. And my car, luckily, I leave at the top of the drive now, so I know I can get out. But yeah, I would like to get some veggies. Getting low on the veggies. I find it the hardest thing of all. The most difficult thing is to be on top of the veggies. Because it's hard to store them without them going off really quick. There's some temperature fluctuations in the fridge. Stuff ends up going bad really quick. But, hey, what can you do? You live and learn, adapt, find new ways. Cool. Look at that. Look at that. Just absolutely amazing and still very hot. Coffee beans. Want coffee beans? Cool yourselves down. Okay, it's all ready. Right there. Still got some cream, but I do need to pick up some more cream as well. It'd be nice if there was a sale on chicken, so I can get more for my dogs. I've decided to kind of minimize my morning beard brushing. Decided to just cut down on my Facebook and other investigations. It's so difficult because on one hand I want to be on top of things, make my own decisions about stuff, but I just feel like right now it's just mass levels of misinformation. And I got so wound up the other day about some bombing in Ukraine, and I had to just stop. Friends even recommended this. Said, like, you know, we're getting worked up over every single maybe and every distortion, and every side is going to be telling you lies. So unless it's your main forte, it's not good on the nerves, you know. So I'm opting to do my snow angels and keep a minimum ear out for what's going on. It's so hard not to. I mean, I can't just be out of the loop. Well, I guess I can, but I don't want to. So it's a delicate balance that I'm working on. But I do have other things as well that I've got to do. I wonder if my coffee beans are ready. More ready. Yeah, no more vapor coming off of them. Oh, this will be a lovely coffee. I think that's a good amount. I think that's a good amount. And I grind my coffee because it is just the best way to start my day. Grind my coffee makes me happy. Grind my coffee makes me happy this way. I would not be a very good songwriter. I think I drove Raven mad singing to her in the car, making up songs. Almost. It's about 70 wines. Still here a little bit. Some bean got loose. Loose bean. My mother, when we were little, had a little children's thing that we loved. She'd say, "How many beans make 5?" Oh, I don't know how many beans. Say a bean, a half a bean, a bean and a half, and a bean. And we thought that was the most amazing thing in the world. Sort of like that mares eat oats and does eat oats, little lambs eat ivy, kill eat ivy too, wouldn't you? We loved that one. And we loved Magdalena, Hagalina, Ukapaka, Wakataka, Okapokanoka was her name. Still remember it. I remember a lot of things. Funny enough. Do I want my purple cup? Or do I want my green cup? These are my magic cups. When drinking from these, anything can happen. If you want, I want, like now, I want a beautiful unfolding of a world. Obviously not everyone can be 100% happy, but of a world that almost everyone would be overjoyed to have. I wish for a world with a lot of health, mental and physical, natural health. So there's low taxation on the medical system, so that the medical system can relax a little bit, start relearning, reinforming itself based on all of its past, like it should do. But yeah, I wish for a world where corporations are not so massive that they can control the globe, and where elites are not above and beyond others as well. And where somehow, magically, I don't know, we find a different form of, the word, governing, yes, for lack of a better word. Something totally different that just works magically, amazingly, like in a children's book, you know? It may sound silly talking about children's books and that, but if you think about the child's mind, that creativity, when unleashed, can pretty well make anything happen. And that's part of my design concept for Nomad Village here, is to create as if you're walking into a children's storybook, the enchanted forest, little dwellings that you've found in the book and now you find in reality. And the whole idea is that once you're in there, or in here, the magic of the elements, nature, combined with the imagination of the child, I feel would be very, very healing for most people. And then anything else that goes on, a workshop, getting a soul print, or buying a piece of art, chatting with an artist that's in residence for a while. Whatever it would be already automatically imbued with magic from the environment. And then I figure my aim is for healing, emotional healing, and if you got emotional healing, you got physical healing following suit, as we know from examples in reverse. And then hopefully from there, the creativity will unleash great ideas and concepts for breathing life into more what would manifest as freedom to many. I wish for very low to almost zero unhelpful conflict, let's say that. I want to be careful with my words, because conflict and friction is necessary in many cases. So I don't want to say no conflict, because I don't want to manifest a world where it's just like being a slug. There's nothing that stimulates you and you just become somatose. So I recognize that there has to be a certain amount of stimulation to feel alive, but I don't feel that we need to have as much difficulty as is been manifested. Then who am I to decide or to guess, or to judge. I really don't know. I am putting a nice lump of butter in my coffee. There. I almost did the where is my phone thing. And of course my phone is on this tripod. There. Wrote down and got myself some digestive cookies to dip on occasional mornings. Oh, look at that lovely coffee. I hope you guys are having a coffee as well. It's just nice to have a coffee with a little group of people. Oh, I love these cups. I don't know why, they just make me feel magical and sort of wakes up the child in me. And I know it's super important. You know, I love these Yeti cups. I was against them, but they do hold the cold and the heat for a very long time. So as far as a practical cup, I do love them, but I don't have an emotional bond with that cup. Even with the Soul print on it, it's still a manufactured, machine made, of course made in China, even though it's super expensive. I thought because of the cost, I thought, oh, maybe they make it more locally and that's why it costs so much more. And nope, still made in China, so gotta just trust that they're making something really well. I don't know. Whereas this was made maybe a 5-minute drive from here by, I haven't met this lady, but I do have her card here, mini card. Amy Doole, Doole Pottery, Maynooth, Ontario. So if you like this kind of stuff, you can always look her up, order. She has these wonderful teapots that also look very whimsical and magical and child and Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. I would love to get one, but buying things made by an artisan is, well, it's probably about the same. You know, I think this was somewhere around the $40 mark, and this was $40. So, you know, to have a specialized drinking vessel, that's sort of what you're looking at. I mean, you can spend a lot more than that for sure. And I don't really need to clarify, but I will. When I'm talking about not wanting something made in China, I'm talking about things, just average, everyday things. If I want to buy like when I was young, my mother always took us. Our favorite place to go in Ottawa, downtown Barwood Market, was the little Chinese store. And that little old Chinese man, and he was the wise guy, and he always, like a little old sage, always had bits of wisdom to tell us, and we thought he was just magical. And everything in there was mysterious. And what's this? And what does that do? And what does that taste like? And they always gave us samples of things. And there I remember that traditional Chinese mug that has all the little Chinese patterns. You get it at a dim sum place or something. I have no problem buying something made in China that's specifically Chinese, like a Chinese cup or a Chinese utensil or a wok or whatever, carving. But I just don't want to support the big industry of the back forth and the fuel being used up for zero reason whatsoever. That's what I'm getting at, and I know you guys understand, but I just thought I would clarify just to make sure, because things can be taken out of context, or someone hears a little bit of something and goes, oh. I love the Chinese people. just don't care for the government. Do I want to dip a cookie? I don't know. But maybe I'll just do one. I want to create an atmosphere here that is truly healing all on its own, independent of me. I'd like to see this place continue after I don't continue. It would be nice if this place got happening enough that it kept going long after I leave. Be cool. Oh, it's good Blue Mountain coffee. Oh. I find both the Blue Mountain coffee and the Kona, they're a kind of coffee that you can enjoy roasting at, well, any level, but I like roasting kind of a medium, because I can make it really strong and yet it's still smooth. It's just like music. To my taste buds. Why coffee is so enjoyable, you know. Like if you try to analyze it, you go, well, this is kind of odd, bitter thing. But it's that complexity that you can get to your senses. And of course, the stimulation factor doesn't hurt. I'm learning, and purposefully, but I'm learning to embrace winter. It's been, I won't lie, the hardest winter of my life. For many reasons that I won't get into, but I embraced this experience, and I am embracing this experience because I know that I'm getting out on the other side in the spring. Take a breather before next winter, and ideally be much better prepared. Some kind of dwelling in a wood stove. You know, for me, the things that I look forward to is a little house, ultimate simplicity in the sense of how it works and runs. I don't want electrical wiring all throughout the walls. I don't want a plug every 3 inches. I don't want I don't want to use. I brought hydro in to select areas, but I don't want to just sit back and rest on hydroelectric. I would like to, and I'm doing it already, but I'd like to continue reducing my footprint and to wherever that is, whatever I need. I know that eventually the workshop, the idea is that it's all plugged into hydro because of needing to use tools and things. So when a tool is being used, it's necessary, creating something. Quite often you don't need an electric plug-in tool, but that's where it's going to be needed. You know, a table saw or something. And other times the generator. But for my living space, I can use wood fire. If I have a wood stove going, I just always have hot water on the stove. I definitely want one of those kind of Mennonite cook stoves. 100%. I'm going to do some good research into that too. Imagine you have this main cooking stove in your kitchen, an open concept, and a loft up above. And a lot of these stoves can have, with oven in it of course, have a big water reservoir, so you've got water, you can have it hooked up so you can have a shower, so then you don't need to have another heater, or you can have a backup heater, so you can have that for when you have a wood stove going. And if you don't, like maybe in the summer, you could then have a little backup on demand propane heater for a shower, something like that. I'd like to have the outdoor shower too. So I'm just thinking of ways to, I think having alternate sources of heat and whatever is good for backups and things. Also, if I had, say, a wood fire going and I wanted to go overnight somewhere, that's where, say, a little propane heater, or if you needed electric heater, whatever, something that would just keep the house at 50 while you're gone. So when you come back, that would be all I would need it for, as a backup. Or if something happened, you could just go, okay, well, just for now, I'm going to turn on the whatever heat. That makes total sense. But I do want to get some of these Aladdin lamps from the past. You can get new ones, refurbished ones, antique ones. The floor length ones, I've researched, you have to buy an antique one. They didn't rebuild them, remake them. But you can buy lampshades and things for them. And then you can get wall sconce style ones, and then table ones that have been redone. And then you can get ones that have been retrofitted for electrical. But my whole purpose is to get backup lighting, and this is lighting that from my research, that you can read a book to. So like quality lighting with a mantle and everything. So I look forward to just throughout my life researching and trying out things. I want to get a washing machine that uses minimal to no electricity. Just electricity enough to shake this little thing back and forth, and then a spinning thing, or one of those that squeezes your clothes. I don't know what yet, but I just want to reduce my electrical footprint. I don't want a million different things that just need to be plugged in all the time. So shopping from Lehman's Amish catalog would be a very big thing. I used to look at those when I was a kid. Loved them. Little steam engines, put wood in there and get it going, and you can actually convert it to electrical even. I feel if one invokes the child mind when embarking upon any challenging shift, purposeful or not on purpose, because you're just having to adapt, if you can make it fun, I find, and that's where creativity comes in the child mind. If you can make it fun, it's a whole different thing. Then it's an adventure, as in Peter Pan, An Awfully Big Adventure. Peter Pan was talking about death. Death is an awfully big adventure, or would be an awfully big adventure. I have to get the exact quote, but yeah, if any challenging, and usually a big challenge is a death of the old and a birth of a new, so it is a death in that way. So if you can make that death an awfully big adventure, and I've been facing this challenge constantly throughout this winter, especially, my nerves get all wound up and I get riled up, and it's sort of like a death that I'm facing of something, which comes with its fears and concerns and adrenaline rushing. But I find that if I can slow myself down in these times and make it a creative endeavor, it even has the potential of becoming fun. And I've got to watch this with, for example, a neighbor who was over helping me, doing it for me, fixing my propane heater. And he and his boys out here, your boys, girls, they know everything pretty well. They've learned from day one. But he's out here with his boys, and they're all tinkering. They're all testing this and testing that circuit on my little propane heater. It's like their life is embracing challenge and change and tinkering and inventing and discovering. And I realized, wow, a lot of that has been lost, or maybe has been siphoned into more computer digital. And it's not that these guys are anti-computer or anti-digital or anything. They're well versed in all this stuff. But I just observe people who are more comfortable in something that I'm not comfortable in, and I can see how I react and then how they are, and I learn a lot. And I'm hoping to really embrace a lot of these things that I learn and pass them on, or at least have other people that have things to pass on, to teach workshops here eventually. Just having fun, you know. I think, like, in the coldest, darkest time of winter, we should have a big festival. Like, religions aside, you know, religions can fit in, all welcome. But just that idea of the darkest night, coldest night kind of thing, bringing the warmest cheer, and welcome to all religions who relate and embrace, and other spiritual paths and so on. Just find ways that we can connect at certain times of year and let go of our differences would be really cool. Sit around a big blazing campfire in the middle of winter. Imagine that. Do like a one all-nighter. Fuck, that would be just beautiful. Like December 21st. Stay up all night, keep a fire going. I like that idea. I love Christmas lights. And I think that they can be independent of Christmas. Not that that takes away from Christmas or anything, but I just find no matter what your belief is, these little lights can be quite beautiful. And some people do great shows of how they've set up their house with these lights. Aside from any of the little cheesy blow-up Santas and things, which for me I find takes away from things. It's a very commercial Christmas kind of look. I like the old style, almost German Father Christmas type of thing from my childhood memories. But I'm just thinking, void of, like, cleared of all those details, the essence. I'm trying to connect with the essence of everything. You know, get out of the branches and go into the core, into the roots of everything, and find out what is there. And then when going back up the trunk and out to the branches, is it different once I've gone into the essence? And I think that is perhaps what we all are required to do in a larger scale and individually, is get back into the essence, the root of what we are. Because I really think that we don't know who and what we are. I don't think we know our potential. I think even if we look back into the history, we get little snippets of this distorted reality. I believe it's distorted now, where there's these few people, artists and inventors, that shine, and weren't necessarily respected at the time, but then later they are. That's interesting. But I think we all have potential to be brilliant and magical. It's just that we're either too wrapped up in surviving, too wrapped up in a belief system that we're not good enough. I grew up in that one. You know, my mother enforced that without realizing it. I think she felt she was saving us from just being let down. Don't expect too much, so you don't get disappointed, that kind of thing. Bless her heart and soul. Wonderful woman. But just go into my feelings with everything going on and stuff. And I don't have answers, that's for sure, on that level. But on a deeper level, I feel that if we could just start simplifying life in some way, just temporarily even, and just find out what is that essence that we've been separated from in our lives. In all this survival mode, the adrenaline, the fatigue that we're all feeling, adrenal burnout. And I know that one all too well because I had 20 years of heavy duty anxiety attacks, panic attacks, depression. When all of my childhood abuse started popping back up into my life 30 years ago. I was 30 years old roughly. Put a deposit on our first house. I really want to invite all of you to consider that I don't know where everyone's at different headspaces with what they feel about the future, but I just like to invite people to envision a future where we are not separated and not in conflict on the same level as we are. I don't know if conflict can be avoided totally. I mean, it is necessary. I mean, children squabble, they need to learn certain things. So I'm not saying erase all conflict and we just become a blob of no desire to move forward, but somehow harmony flowing better than it is. And I do feel that creativity, imagination, dreaming, childlike headspace, heart space, maybe I should say, integrating more of the masculine, sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. I just wish for a whole bunch. There's a lot to ask for. This coffee is so good. Oh. But I am asking for it. I'm going to be bold. And I'm going to ask the universe, and ask Allah, and ask Yahweh, God, Jesus, Christ, Muhammad, Great Spirit, grandfather, grandmother, Mama Aya, in all names, in all manifestations, that which is at the source of all these names, before manifest, before meeting the whatever of the human heart, spirit, soul. I'm putting out this to that is not that, and beyond that. For some breakthrough to happen now. Doesn't mean we'll notice it because it'll be at a root level, and because we're not, most of us, operating at a root level, it'd be quite probable that we wouldn't notice the shift. But I'm asking for the shift. Because I feel we all need it. And I do feel that we're all asking for it on a deep, deep soul level. And I can tell also people are starting to book for soul print sessions. And it's a necessary thing, I believe, this deep experiential communication with the heart and soul of our universe and our individual being that we get when having a soul print done now is so important for that. And I'm so happy that I have developed and explored and developed this system and so many other systems that exist out there that are parallel in some way. I'm so grateful that we have those tools, those avenues to use and to explore for our healing. And I do believe that the simplest of things are, in this case, the most potent and powerful. And that quite often complexity is just a way of losing people by distraction and novelty. And complexity most often is a marketed concept to keep people bound to those that manufacture that complex thing, thought, whatever, so that you're forever their slave, in a manner of speaking, because you depend on them. I feel that a reality where we overall build on making people feel independent, educating people to know how to do things, and how a network can work of sharing and of loving and of, connecting with your neighbor and so on. I get glimpses of it, and my heart goes out to that frequency and resonates, and that's really how I respond to it and feel that it's what is necessary within us. I think that we're being starved of something, just like being starved of food or of water or of oxygen. There's something that we need that we're being shut off from now. And I think the manifestation is the insanity that we're seeing. So we've identified with the fact that if you have food, water, and air, everything's fine. You can exist, and I guess you can exist. But what is exist? Are you really alive? What is alive? What is dead? What is animate? What is not? Indigenous people around the world see rocks as having spirits. Like, what is consciousness? We see words being reshaped, redesigned by Trudeau. For example, any politician, that's part of their thing. Lawyers, that's their job. In a way to manipulate people, but to get back to the basic of words and how they affect us. Words are spells. Talk about spelling in class. Words do affect how you see the world. So how you're first intercepted as a child and how you're educated. Providing a parent is conscious enough and has that control, then the parent has a lot of control over how the child grows. But in school, there's less control, less of that ability, and gradually schools are seeming to take this initiative and arrogance, I think, of believing they can tell the parent what to do with the child. The other extreme was back in the 70s. I still remember my abusive father, and police were called by a neighbor upon hearing my screams, and I remember my father just arrogantly saying, "He's my son, I'll do what I want with him," and there was nothing the cop could do or would do. Now it's the other extreme. It's weird how we just bounce back and forth. But I do believe we all have experiences in life, and like them or don't like them, good or bad, I think we've all been dealt a hand of cards that are customized to our very soul and our individual soul's needs. Both parents, upbringing, childhood, environment, whatever. Good or bad, I believe, is all designed to unlock certain aspects of ourselves later on. Great book to read, I find, and I'd like to read it again, is James Hillman's book, The Soul's Code. And it's an academic reading list book. So it's not just some little new agey thing to just slough off. It's a very well written book, and this guy knows what he's talking about. He's the first person, I was informed anyways, to ever write on the concept of the heart as an organ of perception in an essay. Now it's everywhere. The Heart Math Institute, even Stephen Harrop-Buhner, master herbalist, he taught me a lot about that. think a lot of indigenous cultures, they may not use that word, but I think the awareness is there. Yeah, we've got a lot to think about, we've got a lot to feel, a lot to evaluate and assess in order to change, in order to free ourselves from millions of grips, conscious and unconscious. You know, conspiracy or no conspiracy, just feel your way through things and you'll get certain answers, at least for the root level. They can only, I think, overwhelm us in the branches, in the leaves. That's where they can invoke fear and confusion. But I feel that if we go to the root, whether it's through meditation or other chanting, singing, whatever, that's where we have the ability to overpower this kind of opposition and connect to a deeper source within us. So that's what I'm finding. Doesn't mean I'm right or that there is such a thing as right or wrong. More of a resonance, I guess, and then people evaluate, is that right or wrong? But I think it's getting time for me to have some breakfast and then go and walk my doggies. It should be a little bit warmer out there. Oh, the sun is absolutely amazing. Amazing. Oh, I've got to get chicken feed today and, well, my vegetables and things. I had a steak last night. I haven't had a steak for probably 6 months. Oh, it felt good. From New Zealand. I'll buy these sort of things, little decadent, fancy, but healthy things when they're on sale, like 30% off, and then I'll just freeze them and collect them. It's good because I've had periods of time, 4 days, 5 days where I can't get out to get groceries, so I've been able to quite comfortably. The only things that will be an issue is like green leafy things, which eventually I will have ongoingly. I'll have sprouted stuff all the time and so on. So all this is temporary at the moment. One of the things that really resources me is getting into creative planning of what the interior of my eventual house will be like. And I want it all to be, my whole house to be a piece of art, an experience when you walk in. A sacred space, a temanosk. And that word I got from William Woodworth, a great Mohawk architect who is teaching out of Waterloo University. Great man. Inspired me throughout my life. I would love to have Bill have some part in some stage of the designing of my Temanosk / home temple. I have so many plans. I want a lot of wood showing in this place. I don't want drywall, and I don't want old typical stuff that you see in every house. I'm not going to have curved walls. That would be nice, but I just don't have the funds. Although over time I can do little adjustments like that. I like the Nordic Viking influence, a little bit of Celtic, a little bit of this and that. I respond to a very shamanic type of perception and valuing of reality and life. At the same time, I have no interest in appropriating. In fact, I've done the opposite throughout my life. Luckily, Raven was in academia before her car accident, was on her way to becoming an anthropologist. And I became very aware painfully aware of this idea, so I made great attempts to not do that in my work. But I cannot deny that there are not parallels in what I resonate with. And I also do believe that we have within ourselves, all of us, the right to connect to our core and express what we find. It's just that we do also have the responsibility, I believe, to be careful that you don't, in a metaphorical sense, walk through someone's temple, sacred space, with your shoes on, kicking dust and sand. It doesn't mean that it's intentional, but that careless lack of awareness and possible arrogance, when challenged, rather than say, oh, I apologize, didn't mean to do that, I think it's necessary in any moving forward. I mean, if you look back in time, everyone borrowed influences from many. I don't believe there's any such thing as not being influenced. Even the monks that separate themselves, live in a little cave all their lives, they started out from something and they continued from their trajectory. But I think it's important to embrace growth and learning and awareness of our core, our heart-based feelings, and then how that root comes out and manifests into branches and leaves of our tree. And so I choose elements of my history. Born in England, my family mostly comes from Ireland. My mother's father his family was Jewish. They came from somewhere out in the kind of Russia area. Could have been the Ukraine for all I know. It was somewhere that when they left was Russia, but before that was something else, a little country. So I feel that I've got kind of genetic rights, if you want to call it that by a far stretch, to those, a little bit of Celtic, a little bit of Viking, a little bit of Siberian/Mongolian shamanism. But I still choose to step gently and carefully with awareness as I explore my roots. And I find I require, at least at this point, maybe it's training wheels, influences. But I wouldn't, for example, I find when I've been invited to a sweat lodge, that's a sacred experience. And I'm grateful when I have that opportunity, but I don't desire in any way to create my own sweat lodge and be so brazen to just think I can just go and do it myself. I have no intentions, no desire. If I'm invited, I'm a guest. Now, do I recognize the parallels with a sauna, an outdoor wood-fired sauna? Certain parallels. Yes, I do. And I feel quite within my spiritual rights to build a sauna. My Scandinavian kind of Viking roots. And do I feel that, saunas have been used in a less aware way, but just for physical health, and other times just for fun and recreation, and other times for a spiritual bent as well. So I embrace that because I see the parallels. There's something that speaks to me in those experiences, both physical and spiritual. And I do think the really core experiences that are good for us are both spiritual and physical, manifest in both ways. So I embrace these things, but I choose to be respectful, especially of cultures that are hanging by a thread, that have been so attacked and are really at risk of being stamped out. That's when the appropriation, I believe, or the awareness of possible appropriation is so important to not do. Because of that, you could say, well, Vikings, it goes back so far, there isn't that risk. And for me, that's the distinction. I mean, I don't know, living culture, dead culture, is Viking considered dead culture? I don't know what the right terms are, but if someone is wounded, obviously you treat them with some extra special care while they are healing. You don't necessarily have to help them heal. I'm thinking in the case of a lot of indigenous communities, they don't want that anything that can come across as patronizing, and I get that now. Didn't get it for so long. But yeah, just touching on topics that come up when I think about moving forward and improving our relationship to the earth and each other. Those come up. And of course my what I'm being drawn towards in my art, in my creativity, in my pursuits of happiness and pursuits of being more connected and more aware. And I think I'm going to just let you guys go. I'm over the hour, so I'm just starting to run out of really good things to talk about. So I'm going to say goodbye and put this up on YouTube and wait for it to process. So I'll talk to you guys soon.